Do you want to go first or should I?
I can go first.
What is your number five least worst of the worst of them?
But my number five is going to be The Exorcist Believer.
Ooh, I heard that was bad.
It's so frustrating. Like, it's easily the most frustrating movie of the year because I'm mixed on David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. I think, like, individually, the movies range from good to, like, kind of mid.
Mm-hmm.
But together, they make no sense as a trilogy. Like, you watch them back to back, it's like, what the hell even happened here? And so I was dubious going into this. Now, it's not the worst Exorcist movie because there's some fucking bad ones. Exorcist 2 is hard to fall under, but it's frustrating because the first hour of this movie, for the most part, it's not perfect, it's not even great, but it sets up interesting ideas and it does some kind of different things. And then halfway through the movie, Ellen Burstyn shows up and it turns into like a full-blown Exorcist sequel, and it turns just to shit and it just keeps falling apart as it goes.
Mm.
And then you get to this ending, which is just a massive fuck you. And oh yeah, by the way, the trailers are all focused on her. She's in the movie for like 10 minutes, gets stabbed in the eyes by the possessed kid, and is in the hospital for the rest of it.
Yikes. Oh, that's terrible.
It has all these ideas in it, and it just wastes every single one of them by the end. Like, they mention it, like, because it's about like two girls who go missing, and when they turn up again, they're possessed.
Okay.
There's like a brief mention of the fact because their feet are burned, and there's this brief speculation that they spent the 3 days they were missing in hell. Never comes up again.
That sounds incredibly bad.
I don't want to go on too much longer about this. It's too disappointing.
No, you shouldn't. It sounds like it doesn't deserve you going on that long.
Considering I had no expectations to begin with.
Mm.
And they're apparently still talking about doing sequels to this on HBO Max, so who knows?
Damn. All right. Well, I can't wait to never watch that. But so my fifth worst is Foe. It's a movie that the more I looked into it, the more I realized, because I was curious. I was watching the film, I got like halfway through, and I'm like, kind of nothing's happening. Well, things are happening, but they're not really. There's no drama or tension. It's just this dude who's slowly going crazy, which sounds way more interesting than they executed it. And I'm like, where did the story come from? Who greenlit this? Why did this get made? And I looked into the source material and I'm like, oh, wow, that's the premise of the book? Whoa, that's how the book does it? That's crazy. And I was like, oh, that's what happened. So they thought they could execute the same level of good as the book was, and it wasn't quite. And I eventually ended up finishing Foe, and yeah, no, the twist at the end, man, it read better as the synopsis of the book and not quite as the ending of the actual films. And now I want to go read Foe by Ian Reed. Ian Reed, not Ian, my co-host Reed. I'm more interested in going back and reading that book now than I am ever watching that movie again. I thought it was, to be completely creditful of people involved, Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal did fantastic. They did amazing acting, and were it not for them, it would probably be lower on my list. But they're giving it their all, man. They're trying.
I remember that movie now. I didn't see it, but I remember there was like a tiny, tiny bit of hype about it. Like, there was just the faintest whisper of like maybe it would get an awards push, and then it came out and got absolutely savaged.
Yeah, it got super negative reviews, and I'm in that camp, don't get me wrong, but, credit where credit's due, they did fantastic with bad script, so oh well. So what's your number 4?
My number 4, there are going to be people who watch this, and they're going to be not happy about this one.
Uh-oh. That's how I feel about my number 4, actually.
My number 4 is Beau is Afraid.
Oh, I'm one of the guys who hates you for that. That's a good movie.
It didn't help. I was like super tired when I watched it, but I like Ari Aster. I like Joaquin Phoenix. I liked roughly the first hour of this movie. And then to me, it just got super repetitive. Where it's like, we get it. Joaquin Phoenix is a neurotic weirdo. And his mom is an asshole.
Yeah.
We get it, movie. And especially that whole sequence where he's in the woods. And we're watching him watch a play. And imagine the play. I'm like, oh my God. Maybe I was just in the wrong mood for this. But it's not one that... It didn't work for me. It felt to me like Ari Aster had 1,000 ideas and put them all in here.
Well, let me just clarify, because I would love to chime in a little bit on this. It's not on my top 5 worst. It's not on my top 10. It's a film that I, at the end of the day, liked. I think the first half, everything before The Forest, is like 10 out of 10. I super love dissecting it and thinking about it and the themes. But you're right. Like, it does get repetitive. I don't think there's a real resolution. Like, even when
No.
he goes to the attic and sees that individual,
Oh,
I don't feel like that was important.
I was actually like that part of the movie. I kind of like, oh, this got interesting again. Like, I don't know what's happening, but
I can't even talk about it because every bit of that is a spoiler. But like, damn, it was funny. It was a good shock. But like, I don't think that
he met a real dickhead.
he sure did. He sure did. Man, watch the movie to find out. But I don't really feel like that A, resolved anything, and B, answered any questions. It just asked way more questions. So
Yeah, that raised more questions, and then the ending raised more questions.
yeah, I'm pretty split on it. I'm
I'd
not
watch
100%.
it. I mean, I wouldn't be against watching it again, and I would say this is a movie on this list where even though I didn't like it, I would say at least give it a shot.
Right. Okay. Well, my number 4 is also a controversial one because I see that it got really good reviews. I did not enjoy it at all. Skinamarink. This movie is trash.
I didn't see it, but I know what it's like, and I have a feeling I would agree with you on some level.
Oh, dude, I can't even spoil it. There's nothing to spoil. 90% of the footage is low quality angles of walls from like baby monitor cameras.
And isn't it like continuous angles too? Like
Yes.
it just points in
Yes,
the same
it
direction?
Same direction, just lingers, and it's like, oh, hey, 10 minutes went by, the door frame disappeared. Oh, wow, the picture disappeared. Like, I don't care. There's nothing here.
It sounds like it would be way better as like a 10-minute YouTube short.
I think it was. It was a short film as a proof
yeah.
of concept, and I heard that that was really scary. I didn't watch it, but I see why that would be scary as a short little experimental film, one could say. But man, expanded to a full runtime, it's more repetitive than the second half of Bo is Afraid, man. It's just
Oh god, I can
there's
imagine.
nothing here. They try and have like a story, they try and have characters, and the last like 2 minutes is actually pretty interesting. It's like lighthousey, but Jesus, it's not worth the ride to get there.
No. I remember when this came out like wide. Initially, I think it went on Shudder or something, and it was like really hyped on Twitter for like 2 weeks, and then everybody fucking forgot about it.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. It is not great. What's your number 3 though? To take us away from Skinamarink.
My number 3, this is a movie which I've seen people defend this but it's supposed to be stupid defense. It's supposed to be bad. It's fucking Cocaine Bear.
Oh, I still haven't seen it. I have no desire to watch that film.
I watched it just on the off chance that it would be just a fun kind of like stupid monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
There is elements of that, but the Cocaine Bear itself is one character in an ensemble of what feels like about 15 or 16. Because you got Kerry Russell looking for the kids in the woods. You've got Little Solo. Little Solo and Ice Cube Jr., who work for Ray Liotta, who are trying to get his cocaine back. You have cops going into the woods as well, who are following them, I think. I forget the details. There's also a weird, lecherous, middle-aged female park ranger and like the nature scientist guy she's into. And they also introduce friggin' paramedics just to kill them off 10 minutes later. That's like the one fun scene in the movie.
Yep.
Is the Cocaine Bear. That's in all the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this is another premise which it should be simple, but there's just so much shit going on. It's like they tried to turn it into like an old school disaster movie with like this huge cast, but it's like mostly like actors nobody really cares. I think this was the last Ray Liotta movie to come out either right after or right before he died, and I'm like, wow, that's a legacy.
That's the last one? Damn.
Well, it's not his last movie because he had like 3 more that were upcoming.
Oh, okay.
But like
Thank
this
goodness.
this was the one that came out closest to his death, and it's like, man, you couldn't even get a call for The Irishman, but you got into this.
That's tough. What a break, man.
It's just so boring, and the bear is obviously computer generated.
So that's my big thing is I watch like a lot of like Nat Geo, a lot of real footage of real animals. It's like a nice like background thing to put on. When I saw that trailer, that fucking CGI monstrosity bear, I was like, hell no. Hell no. Anything outside of Bollywood couldn't really do this and make it fun. This is just, they're playing it as serious as possible, and it is just garbage. So there's no way.
It's like a slightly upmarket asylum movie.
It is. It looks barely better than those.
Yeah, and you know it's really bad because there's an actor in this who who plays one of the cops, and he's in a lot of stuff. He's in The Five Bloods, and his catchphrase in most of his movies is he says "she." He does it in The Wire all the time. You know it's bad because he doesn't say it once.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think CGI isn't there yet because The Revenant is like almost 10 years old at this point.
It's perfect looking.
Oh my God, that bear looks phenomenal. I thought that guy actually died. They just killed a stuntman.
They just killed Leo.
It really was VFX. Like I had to look back and be like, wow, that's mad impressive. Maybe it's the lighting. It's the difference. You know, it's like very bright in Cocaine Bear. I don't know. But yeah, no, I was not a fan of the trailer for that. I'm glad I dodged it completely. Instead, I've made another arguably even worse choice potentially because I watched my number 3 of the year, which is Slaughterhouse. This movie.
Oh my God! What?
Slaughterhouse? Yeah. So it's about a killer sloth that kills a bunch of people. In like a teen, coming of age horror camp thing. It's weird.
Okay.
It's a puppet though. It's not CGI. And that's why I was.
That's
interested.
probably
I was like,
better.
it leagues, but I don't know if you paid me, I could not have tried to write a worse script than the script they used. It goes beyond like, oh, horror movie characters make dumb decisions. That's like a convention. That's at this point, it's just you got to expect that. And if it doesn't do that, you give it praise. This is like, they give like the sloth like an evil voice. Like it's really bad.
Oh,
it feels like one of those movies that the Velocipaster guys would make. It might be. I don't even know.
I was going to say, did Joquin recommend this one?
I don't know. It feels like that, but there's like, CW quality lighting, which is a step above Velocipaster. I know we're not ranking these, but it's like less than a 1 out of 10, potentially a 0. It's tough. It is not get throughable. I strapped myself down because I wanted to put it on my list of the year, so I made myself finish it. I have integrity and all that shit. And man, I suffered through this fucking thing. But yeah, what's your number 3 or 2?
It's 2.
Oh, baby, we're getting into the good stuff now.
Okay, so this one is, I don't know if you saw this one or because this did not get marketed that I saw. Hardly at all. It came out in May too, which makes it even weirder. It's Hypnotic.
No, I saw the trailer and I thought that looks kind of fun but kind of dumb at the same time.
It is really bad and really stupid, so it deserves this number 2 slot on the list, but it's a movie that is bad in such a way that it is worth watching once just to see this madness unfold. I think you might actually get something out of this because of certain directions it goes in. But it starts with Ben Affleck as a Austin cop who is his daughter was like kidnapped off the street or something, and he's like in therapy over it. And then William Fichtner like robs a bank by like psychically commanding people to do weird shit. Like he commands this woman to start taking their clothes off in the middle of the street.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I saw the trailer where, like, the editing, and I'm like, man, I hope that editing isn't indicative of the movie's editing, because it's really weird.
Yeah, I don't remember the editing very well. I just remember the insanity of the plot. And the only thing that was in the safe deposit box was a picture of Ben Affleck's daughter, and he's like, oh, what's going on? He gets pulled into, like, this conspiracy involving, like, government psychic programs and, like, people who rebelled against the system, and it is just... It has like a new twist every couple of minutes. Oh, man. This is a Robert Rodriguez movie, and he apparently wrote the first draft in like 20 years ago. And you can kind of tell because it feels like the kind of thing that like someone who just watched like Memento and The Matrix and decided to combine them into one movie or something like that.
Reminds me of Gemini Man, how that was like an 80s or 90s movie.
That was 90s. I've read the original spec. It's like nothing like the movie at all.
Really? Wow. Yeah, no, that Hypnotic trailer, I figured there was a chance that like it'd be so bad it's good. It's up my alley for that kind of stuff.
It is. It does have that kind of quality to it because it is completely committed to its absolute absurdity.
You're gonna have to make me fucking watch this stupid thing. It's not gonna hit my top 10 or top 5
it's not.
worst.
It might get like a an 8/2, like Serenity got a simultaneous 10 and 0.
Potentially, I might enjoy it that way, but yeah, maybe with friends it'll be better. But my number 2 is a film that is not so bad it's good. It's just so bad. It's called Don't Look Away, about like killer mannequins that like come to life or whatever.
When you're not looking.
Yeah. It's not even. It's barely what it promises itself to be. It's really like
that sounds like every shitty PC horror game that came out circa 2012.
It feels like it. It's mostly a teen drama. There's like
Oh no.
barely any like actual attempts at scares here. And after the halfway point, I was like, God, it's just like a less than 90-minute film, and I'm like dreading the rest. I'm like waiting. It feels like a 4-hour film with like the pace and just how brutal it was. The camera work is like incompetent. Like I don't know what crew was hired. I had to look it up. I think it was an independent film. No shit. Man, man, it makes me feel sad that I watch movies all the time because this is what movies can be. So, whatever.
My number one.
Number one, this is the worst of the
Oh
year.
boy, this is probably upmarket compared to some of the stuff you've watched, but it's Expendables, which
Oh,
is the official title of the movie. It's not just for the poster.
no, it sure is.
This series was never great. Like the first two are kind of like differing shades of okay, and three is pretty mediocre. And they took a long ass fucking time making this. This was like 9 years in the making. First of all, the whole premise of the Expendables was supposed to be getting all these like different, like kind of well known or at least semi known action movie actors together into an ensemble. And the movies never got that balance right because the first movie is just a Stallone and Statham movie of everyone else tagging along.
Yep.
And this one makes it worse because Stallone's barely in it. He had apparently had some feud with the producers, so he's only in the movie for like 20 minutes. And half the cast is friggin' gone. Like Jet Li has been in and out of the series because he keeps showing it. He was in the first one a lot, and then he showed up for like brief appearances in 2 and 3. So Jet Li's gone. Terry Crews is gone, but that's because of stuff that happened outside of the movie. So all that's left over of the original team is Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture of Scorpion King 2 Rise of a Warrior fame.
Yep. Oh, we all know him.
And replacing the people who are missing, we have Megan Fox and 50 Cent.
What a selection of 80s action stars.
Yeah, 50 Cent is a horrendous actor in this movie.
And Megan Fox, who has not been anything notable since Transformers 2, maybe.
Ninja Turtles?
Jennifer's Body was actually good. That's the only thing she's been in that I think is actually good.
Yeah, and she's not like the worst part of this movie by any means. It's just, of all the people out there, you have all these guys who have never actually been in any of these team up movies. Like, I know Kurt Russell has said no to being in more than one of them. They offered him both 2 and 3, and I think he deliberately chose, what was it, Furious 7 over that.
Yeah, no shit. If that's your options, why are you ever not choosing a Fast and Furious film?
And just to get what's so bad about this, it is a horrifically edited movie. The premise of it starts off with Iko Uwais from the Raid movies, who's like the main bad guy in this. He's leading like his terrorist group to this like military base in Libya to steal nukes. It starts with them attacking the base, him taking down a tank, cuts away to like the Expendables doing shit in New Orleans, getting the job to go after him, getting on the plane and flying there, and then it picks up again right where he was, and he just walks into the base. So in the time it took him to walk 10 feet, they flew to Libya.
Jesus Christ.
And then the action scenes are horrific because you have this car chase near the beginning where they're like on turrets and they're very clearly in front of a green screen. Like it's some of the worst green screen, and the fights are just horribly edited. You have talented martial artists like Iko Uwais, and Tony Ya shows up in it.
Yeah.
The two of them do not fight.
Oh, come on.
And what little fight scenes you do get are edited so poorly. There's like a really obvious twist about who's behind everything, and it's so bad because this series was never great. This somehow managed to dig an entirely new low.
That's tough to hear. I mean, I watched the first 2 Expendables way back when they actually came out. I think I watched them with my dad on DVD back to back when that was a thing. And I skipped the third one because I thought the cast was funny. Like, damn, all of Hollywood is in this movie. But I heard bad things, so I skipped it. And then this trailer came out, and I was like, there's no way they made a 4th one. The 3rd one bombed so bad. And wow, just the fact that it's gone so downhill. Yeah, you're right. The whole premise is that 80s action stars are back together at last, and there's like none in this fucking movie. So what's the appeal? Like, it's certainly not the story. The trailer looked ass, and I've only heard negative things.
It is just, it's not even satisfying on a dumb action level. It's just bad.
Yeah, I can't wait to literally never watch this film. No, the number one worst movie of the year that I've seen, because maybe Expendables would have been on here if that were the case. The worst film of the year, worse than Foe, Skinamarink, Slaughterhouse, and Don't Look Away, is, of course, Shin Kamen Rider. I've watched all of the Shin movies since Shin Godzilla, and Shin Godzilla is super great.
Oh, yeah, it's really good.
It's like a brilliant film. It's got something to say. So I was like, oh, okay, let's look it up. We have 2 more Shin movies, both this year. That's 2 and 3. And because the company rights are at different studios, like every studio has their own kind of like Japanese thing, they can't do a crossover, but they're still doing a cinematic universe just with no references to each other. So I think that's really funny. So I'm like, okay, that's a unique angle to do this. So let's just do it as like an anthology. So Shin Ultraman, kind of fun, kind of stupid, nowhere near the quality. It's a drop off from Shin Godzilla.
It's the same writer.
It's the same writer for some reason, but it doesn't feel like it. And there's some fun action scenes. It's more like a bunch of episodes of TV just crammed together into one movie. So I was like, okay, that was kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, my understanding is it's adapting like the first season of the show.
If it does, it speedruns the whole season, bro.
Well, yeah, because it's a
bunch
movie.
It's a bunch of vignettes. It's funny. But so I was like, okay, Shin Kamen Rider, let's go into this headstrong. I'm not expecting greatness, but at the very least, maybe it'll be fun or exciting. Dude, this movie is ass. There's like literally nothing good. The costumes are like you went to Party City and spent no more than $30. The camera work is like Ian Mello, my co-host, holding an iPhone while I like do a funny dance. It's awful. All the shit I gave Don't Look Away, bro, Don't Look Away looks studio produced compared to Shin Kamen Rider.
I almost watched it too because it's on Prime.
It feels like a high quality, as in like literally the footage is high quality, version of a 60s pilot to Shin Kamen Rider. But at least that would have like enjoyment. There's nothing here. It's horrible. This dude, I guess his power, he's got, because everyone's got like a bug power. And the main dude is he's like a grasshopper man, but he also rides a motorcycle. And that's why he's the Kamen Rider or something. He does these things where like during the action scenes, the camera's like, let's say like it's like in the middle, it can see everybody. Then he approaches from like above, like he's on a building or a hill, and he'll jump. The camera cuts to like a POV from the ground while he front flips over the camera. Then it cuts back to where it was as he lands. And it's really dumb, but every single action scene does that. And then there's action scenes where one of them has a spider guy powers, but he's really strong and like vomits webs or something. And he also does the big flippy thing. So the camera keeps cutting back and forth between like the ground POV, back and back. The action is like unreadable. I don't know what happened, but it just at the end of it, it cuts to one of them being on the ground. And
so watching this movie is what it feels like to have a stroke.
Oh man, it's almost so bad it's good. Like I really wanted to like laugh, but like it just ended up being the most boring thing ever. It's like almost 2 hours too from memory, or at least it felt that way.
89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How? Who the hell rated this film?
Probably because it's a foreign film that didn't have a wide release and only 10 people watched it.
Well, Godzilla -1 was that before it blew up, and that movie's amazing. So
Godzilla
whatever.
-1 had a wide theatrical release, wider than I would have expected.
Yeah, after like it had a very limited release at first, but
it came here. It was here on its opening weekend.
Look, if Shin Kamen Rider had gotten a wide release, if it had opened worldwide same day, it still would have been trash. If anything, that Rotten Tomatoes score would be in the dirt. But yeah, no, this is a terrible movie. It is the worst of the year. I'm really sad to see the Shin saga, quote unquote, even though they can't cross it over, stoop to these levels. So I really hope the next, it's like disinterested me in the next Shin movie, whatever it is.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, maybe they'll do Shin Gamera.
Oh man, that'd be really fun, because then Godzilla and Gamera can be in the same world. Wouldn't that be interesting for once? But whatever.
Same world, but they never meet.
Yeah, in any case, those are our top 5 worst, and I'm so glad that I never have to watch any of those films again. Although I might watch Hypnotic